Hey guys, it's Jason from the Warrior Culinary Collective, and today we're going to do a little video to help you get started doing fermentation. All right, let's get started here. I put up a lot of information about fermenting. I use a lot of fermented foods in my recipes, and surprisingly, you probably do too. You just may not know it. We're eating more fermented foods than we probably realize. A lot of people are scared of fermented foods, though, for some reason, especially to do them yourself. Fermenting your food was a very common way of preserving your food prior to refrigeration. So that's been going back for thousands of years. You just create an environment that only certain beneficial microorganisms can live in. When you ferment food, you increase the bioavailability of nutrients, because these microorganisms, specifically these lactic acid bacteria, are going to digest and break down a lot of the hard and more difficult sugars and glycoproteins into simpler things that's easier for us to digest. So it's this symbiotic relationship. It's a good source of probiotics that can improve the composition of your gut bacteria. Another reason why we would ferment is, well, it can just make food taste better. One of the things that I like a lot is to use a fermented garlic paste in place of fresh garlic in recipes. It's just a deeper, more umami type of a flavor, and a little bit goes a long way with the bare bones kit on what you're going to need to get started to make your first fermentation. First of all, you're going to need a vessel, some sort of a vessel that you can seal with a lid. Probably the easiest one and the most available for people to get is a quart-sized canning jar. As far as lids go, just for right now, just your standard 2-part mason jar lid is fine. Next, you're gonna need a food scale. This one here is the OXO Good Grips. I like it because this thing detaches, so when you have a large bowl, you can actually read what's going on here. So you got your food scale and your vessel. Next, you're gonna need salt. You need any type of salt that's non-iodized. Probably the easiest one to work with for most people is kosher salts. Right here, Morton's kosher salt. It's usually pretty available and cheap. And lastly, you're gonna need a way to process the food that you're gonna put into your vessel. So having a knife of some sort is probably the easiest, most basic tool. A decent sized chef's knife, and go with what you're comfortable with working with. Usually the better the knife, the easier it is to work with, the less fatiguing it's going to be on your hands, the longer it's going to hold its edge. Food processors, it depends on your food processor, but I haven't found a food processor that turns it into a cut that I want to eat after it's been fermented, you know. So here's your basic kit to get started fermenting. The last 2 components you need are good filtered water and something to put in the vessel. So that's up to you. We can go over recipes and other videos on what we're going to put in there, but this is your basic bare bones kit to get you started. Now from here, let's go into how we can improve on this small little kit and upgrade it with some different bells and whistles. You can upgrade to larger vessels. So like we said, we started with a quart jar here with standard mason jar lid, but we can move up to a half-gallon size. Let's run a comparison here. Then we can go up to here to even the gallon sizes, and the sky's the limit for the volume, so you can keep increasing there. These are mason style jars. There's also other jars that are the bale style jar, like this. We also have crocks. So this was my first sauerkraut crock. This is from Humble House sauerkraut. From the sauerkraut, this is the 2 liter. This is my 5 liter. But most people are going to find it easiest to work with mason jars and things like that, because you can't really buy these at Walmart. At least I've never seen them at Walmart. But you can always find these at Walmart, Kmart, you know, a hardware store. That you can move on to special types of lids. These are two aftermarket lids for wide mouth mason jars. So this is, the white ones don't have any sort of seal. These ones have seals. The dark green ones have seals on them. So these ones don't leak. We can even specialize a little bit more with our lids and get into airlock lids. Now, when you have an airlock, you're not gonna have to manually burp your jars anymore. So this is probably the upgrade you're looking for, especially if you have a lot of things fermenting on your counter, to come through and crack all those a couple times a day, or if you need to be gone for a few days, this is gonna make it so you don't have to somebody come burp all your ferments for you. Here's some Mango Warrior sauce in a gallon-sized jar using an airlock, as well as a silicone bag right there to help keep everything submerged. When you buy your airlocks, you're gonna get instructions on how to use them. And there's different kinds of airlocks. These ones use water, and they're really, really nice to have for fermenting. Weights. So this is a glass weight that is meant to fit inside a wide mouth mason jar and keep the vegetable matter submerged under the brine. These, you know, sometimes these are awesome. Sometimes they slip off and run down the side of your jar. So it depends. In absence of having a glass weight that's specially meant for this sort of thing, you can use a small Ziploc bag filled with water and just smush it down on top, and it'll do the same thing. Pretty much takes care of the basic kit and a few upgrades for those who are interested. Let's get into recommended reading. I think the best book, pound for pound, that you can get on fermentation is the Noma Guide to Fermentation. One of the highest rated restaurants in the world, and they have their own fermentation laboratory. The background on fermentation in here, the scientific principles and concepts of fermentation in here, everything about just the general concepts before you even get into any recipes, it's worth the price of the book. They also teach you how to do things beyond just making types of fermented vegetables. You're getting into making kojis and misos and things like that. Also, a good place to start is this one by Sandor Katz, who's considered sort of the godfather in the grassroots movement of fermentation. So you get some great recipes out of this one as well. But probably the one he's known for the most is this one that he wrote, called The Art of Fermentation. It's a James Beard award-winning book. This is a very heady sort of sciencey book on fermentation. A lot of history, a lot of concepts and troubleshooting, things of that nature. Boy, I say that a lot. Things of that nature. Yeah, stop saying that so much. If you want to go deep into fermentation, I think this is the book for you. It's not going to, like I said, it's not going to give you the recipes that these two books will give you, but it'll give you a very deep understanding of fermenting foods. All right, guys, so that's the quick start guide to getting you started with fermentation. You don't have to start big, you don't have to start fancy, but once you get running and you like it, start adding on and upgrading. If you want some help with some recipes, or you need a little bit of guidance along the way, I'll be putting out more videos on how to do this stuff, specifically how to do a sauerkraut, how to do a wet brine, how to do a dry salting, how to make garlic paste, things like that. Thanks for watching the video. This has been awesome, putting this video out for the Warrior Culinary Collective. So train hard, fight harder, and eat well.